So, the beginning of chapter 3, section 3, really does a lot with starting to analyze curves and starting to look at derivatives and original equations. So, I want to start by just explaining something on delta math here. So, you're going to have problems where it's going to ask you to look at a particular function and explain the intervals, determine the intervals in which it's either increasing or decreasing. So increasing means it's on its way up. It has a positive slope. So we're going to set up intervals for that. There's a lot of ways to write them. So part of this video is just to get you comfortable with writing. And then decreasing, if it says decreasing, it's when it's on its way down or we have a negative slope. So with this one wants all the intervals that it's increasing. So it looks like it starts increasing at x equals -6. These are x values. And it looks like it increases all the way until it gets to -1. You actually have a choice on delta math. You can use, when you're talking increasing or decreasing, either brackets or parentheses. I, for some reason, out of habit, do parentheses, but either one is right and they will accept both. So you're going to put -6 and then -1 for your interval there. And then there's a couple things you can do here. You can hit the little plus sign to give your chance to do another answer, or you can use this little union button. It's a letter U that will say that there's another interval coming. So now it looks like it increases again from x equals 2 until x equals 6. So again, I'm going to put it in parentheses, but brackets would be acceptable. And then I'm going to submit that answer. Those are the only two places where it's increasing. And what I like on delta math, and you notice they use brackets instead of parentheses, and it's still right, is they also like to shade in the region. So you can actually see here are the two regions where it's increasing, and you're putting those x values. So then the next piece is positive versus negative. And this is something you would have talked about in like an algebra class, but I just want to recap it. So positive versus negative is going to be whether or not your function value is positive or negative. So if your function value needs to be greater than or equal to 0, that's going to be everything that's located above the x-axis. That's when you have a function value, which is your y value, greater than or equal to 0. So anything touching the axis or above. If it would ask you for less than or equal to 0, now we're looking beneath it. Now here you have to be a little more careful with the way you enter it. Since it's allowed to equal 0, you're going to use brackets more. So for this one, it is greater than or equal to 0, starting at -8, and it actually stays above. I know it touches it here, but it's still equal to, until it gets to 0. So we're going to type that in with brackets as -8 and then 0. And then if you want, you can use this little union button, or you can click the little plus sign and give yourself another interval. It comes back to the axis and above from 6 on. Now, it stops at 9 because my interval is, my interval goes to 9. So I'm going to go from 6 to 9, and I'm going to submit that answer. So that's your positive versus negative, and then increasing versus decreasing. So I wanted you to see practice of both of those. That should get you through the first few problems in this particular topic.